welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to answer some Q&A, some that I've been asked before on podcasts or AMAs, and some y'all would want to know after watching me on Love is Blind. And moving forward. Yes and no. I think for the most part, I got a pretty bad edit. A lot of people still support me or like saw my true character through my edit, which I really appreciate. Like I see all y'all when y'all comment and say like y'all see I was genuine, I was authentic, I was myself. But I think they, like for me personally, I know like the timeline of events that happened and like what they did and didn't show, and I feel like they tried to portray me in a bad light. Most people saw through it. But yeah, I'm like, they definitely showed my most emotional moments. They didn't show context around my relationship with other cast members. They would show things that happened after like events where I was emotional. They would show it before those events happened. It looks like my emotions are out of pocket. So I'm like, yeah, I would definitely say you see pieces of who I am as a person, but they definitely are like kind of all out of order and out of context. I don't know. I think in some ways I believe in the concepts. I love the idea of having people matched based off compatibility tests and like looking for true love apart from physical appearance, but those compatibility tests, they can also try to align people just for drama, is what I'm realizing. Like they can cast the person they think will be someone you will appeal to you that is not your best match based on past patterns. And I think that's what happened to me. Even like being so self-aware and trying to do something different, like I don't know. I will say I think you can make decisions based off physical appearance. If you're asking me whether the concept of the show works, I don't know whether they're really trying to make it work at this point. I want the drama. Yes. So I met Alex on a dating app, but a few dates in, I wanted to talk to him about the fact that I was going to be on Love is Blind. At that time, I wasn't sure how much I would air, but I didn't want us to get into an established relationship and me have to tell him like halfway through, like, by the way, I might be on Netflix. So I told him very early. And when I told him, he said, oh, like someone reached out to me on LinkedIn. And I knew most of the guys from my season, they had said, like, after I talked to them after the fact, they were like, oh yeah, we got recruited on LinkedIn. And I was like, oh, there's no way this guy would know, like, that they were recruiting the men on LinkedIn, because most of the women they recruited on Instagram. And I asked him, you know, like why he didn't do it. And he was like, I could just never propose to someone that quickly. Like, that's a big decision. Which I totally understand as well. Like he really needed to get to know someone. And then after having been through the experience, I really respected that he had that practical perspective. So yes, who knows if he would have made it through the full process, but they did reach out to him. And we like to think it was like as a match for me. But yeah, I think ever since then, we've both been curious, like, what it would have been like if he had gone on the show, whether we would have chosen each other, like what would have happened. And I think, especially for me, I think it's actually for the best that he was not on my season, because I've tried it once and I don't like dating the same man as 14 other women, so would not recommend. I have a Beagle and a Beagle mix. It's a berry and ginger. They are like my children. They're also insane, but they're a big part of my life. Like I'd be lying if I said like when I'm making a decision to like go out at night or like what I'm gonna do in my day, I take account like whether they have been on a walk, they have been to daycare. They're like definitely one of my main priorities. My mom had a trainer when I was in college, and I asked if I could work out with my mom and her trainer. So in college, I got really into fitness. I actually dropped out of law school and I was trying to figure out what direction I wanted to go into. I started pursuing a fitness career. So I became a certified personal trainer. So I'd say I've always kind of enjoyed fitness as a hobby. It's a big part of my life. It's a big part of Alex's life. Like, it should be a big part of anyone's life, because if your physical health isn't there on like the hierarchy, like you can't address any of your other needs. I think the easiest way to stay disciplined is to set a set schedule, but be flexible with yourself. So for me, I try to work out every Monday, Friday with my trainer, and then Tuesdays I like to do hot yoga, and Thursdays I like to do Legree. But if I have to miss any of those, I'm not like super hard on myself. I'm not like super strict with myself. It's just a part of my life I always incorporate and keep going. I met a boy when I was 11 years old. We first dated when we were 11, and then broke up, got back together in middle school, broke up, got back together in high school. And I would say it's probably the most formative relationship of my life. But I was in a relationship with a guy who struggled with addiction issues. In high school, he got his wisdom teeth taken out, and then he was prescribed hydrocodone. He realized, oh, like these pain meds actually make me feel good for the first time in my life. He was buying pain pills to take recreationally. It started almost like a party drug, and then it got to the point where I would stay over at his house like in college, and he would wake up and take pills out of his bedside table just to not feel sick. And that's when I knew it had kind of progressed too far, because if he didn't take the pills, he had withdrawal symptoms. We got in a big fight over drugs. He promised me he would take a break, and then a couple weeks later, I found drugs in his room. So, like, eventually I got to the point in our relationship where I set an ultimatum, and I said, it's me or the drugs. And he said, it's not you. So I have obviously all the love and respect for anyone who has addiction issues, but for partners of people with addiction issues, the most important thing my therapist ever said to me was, you cannot control them. You can only control whether you choose to be with them. But I realized with her saying that I had no control over their choices, and the best choice for myself was removing myself from those situations so I could continue to grow. I started to notice a pattern within my relationship. I think at the root of it, it was based off of not feeling like I was good enough. I have grown from that, grown in my own self-confidence, and now I'm at a place where like I'm happy with who I am, I'm happy with where I'm going, and I just want to take life a step at a time. What are we doing on YouTube? I think my natural value system is aligns more with like being creative, expressing yourself, making a difference, like my more creative mindset. So this is gonna allow me to like kind of express myself more genuinely, and like hopefully to make an impact more than I don't want to say a legal career can't make an impact, but like my legal career is not making an impact. I mean, I love that like in Houston, I'm close to my hometown, so like I can still go back to visit my family, but I'm like in a big city with like really good restaurants. Texas has a low cost of living, so I'm like, as far as living in a big city, it's actually somewhat affordable. Low median age, high median intelligence level. The only thing I would say Houston doesn't have is like, it's not that aesthetic. Like you're not gonna walk out and see like mountains or beaches. The weather can be all over the place. Things to do. I own a home, like it ticks all the boxes. It's just not the most aesthetic, maybe. I don't think that matters. I am a people person. I don't know. What I've learned growing up is that if you're being authentic and if you're being yourself, you're not going to align with everyone. You're not going to like everyone. So I'm not going to make myself like someone just because they're a girl. I'm not going to make myself like someone just because they're a man. I like the people who I feel like my values align with. I'm going to dislike the people who I feel like I don't align with. And I feel like it's important to be honest about that and not just pretend like everyone needs to get along with everyone, because then you're not respecting your own boundaries. So one of my favorite places to shop is a local boutique called Emerson Rose. They carry this brand after the label, which you can get online, and I wore a lot on the show. I also really like Anthropologie and like Free People, Target, but I'm kind of moving away from shopping online to shopping in person because I have like a love it or leave it policy. So I like to try things on, and if I love it, I'll buy it. If it's like a maybe to a then I'll just leave it. It doesn't work so well in Anthropologie, so I still end up spending way too much money. I'm so sleepy. I don't know how to say bye. Awkward outro.